Good evening, good afternoon, wherever you find yourself in this weird, wild, wacky world of ours. Welcome to another exciting installment of Darkness in Dublin. This evening's scene takes place in the newly refurbished, or currently being refurbished, Ritz-Carlton Cinema Theatre that is located just off Grafton Street in Dublin city centre. Once the glamorous and the glitzy came here in order to observe premieres of Irish film and other forms of media. However, it has fallen out of use since the 1970s until now, where it is enjoying a current renovation, but for far more sinister mains than perhaps would be said of its previous existence. Inside in the foyer, the workmen have stopped for the day. There are still several different areas of the building that are being renovated currently in order to make it suitable to host the nightlife or the monarchs of the night that are the vampiric population of Dublin. However, several of them have gathered in order to communicate and talk, as this building has been declared temporary Elysium via the Seneschal's offices. With this in mind, the Toreador have gathered in order to discuss what we will describe as the fiasco of the previous evening. So, with that in mind, I will have the two of you. We will begin at the beginning of you two's conversation, and I will interject in a few moments. There you go.
Okay. So yeah, Fleur will look for Francis.
This is cinema.
Damn it. Yeah, but
There's
popcorn
drama.
and this scene is like,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, there's drama. Yeah, for sure.
It's like,
So
this
yeah,
is the
she looks for
ultimate-
Francis and she gives him a smile.
Francis, Francis probably a bit earlier than most, perhaps more. He's had his faith shaken. This concerns him pretty deeply, so he would have shown up early. I mean, he's still well dressed. He's in his fairly typical attire, and he's just kind of he was initially just looking at the blank screen. But when he hears the doors open, he just looks down. He's kind of high up. He's at the sort of back end of the cinema. And he'll begin walking down to you. Hello, good to see you. Good to see you.
It's good to see you as well. She'll take in his demeanor.
His demeanor is. I don't know. I'm actually gonna have him roll because I think I'm gonna use his enchanting voice because he's definitely trying to put on like everything is largely fine, fine. But yeah, okay. Well, he's really good at bullshitting. As it turns out. Yeah, he seems largely fine. Maybe a bit uncomfortable about something.
You can hear that tapping in character.
Francis looks over to that real quick.
Yeah, so does Fleur. She's like, okay.
Looking down at you from the balcony, you will see the pictured individual. Hi, guys. He's tapping his fingers on the wooden balcony.
Okay.
He's looking down at you, Francis, and he says, Sheriff.
Yes, my prince?
So, I had a rather pleasant evening last night. I avoided all of the humdrum malarkey that is being sold as panacea to the ignorant. However, I'm curious. He holds up a piece of paper in his hand and he says, why is it that I wake up on this rather pleasant evening, an evening that I had intended to do one or two minor, yet none too consequential affairs of the domain, to read the fact that apparently your clan has made a show of me and a show of the domain, not just in front of other entities of the other supernatural kinds that exist in the city proper, those things that we allow to exist, but in front of the Sabbat.
Fleur raises her an eyebrow and looks to Francis. What's going on?
To put a long story short, what occurred was Monique, looking to buy a painting at this auction, bid all of her memories of Delano prior to her embrace, directly in front of him.
Her jaw drops just a little bit.
Which, needless to say, caused Delano, to feel extremely betrayed. He left. He stormed out of the auction, wound up tearing off a car door, overturning that very car. That's been dealt with by the Seneschal. But the Bishop of Waterford was present to witness it. Needless to see, a very inappropriate and regrettable situation.
Those are two verbs that I would use to describe it, yes. So, we now look weak in front of this entity. We appear incapable of the managing of our own feelings and affairs, Sheriff. Now, I trust Clan Toreador will deal with this in the most magnanimous of fashions. Your clan have been on the rise in the city. You have already given us one stunning gala evening that was only sullied once again by your own clan's actions. I trust that I do not need to look closer at a rose to see if it is rotten.
We shall manage the situation with all the swiftness and severity that it requires, my prince. In fact, that is that incident is why both myself and the Primogen are here, to reach a conclusion and a response to this as quickly as possible.
Good. In that, I place my faith in both of you. Where is Mr. Delano?
He shut his restaurant. He hasn't been seen since last night.
That is disconcerting. I shall see if Hennessy has any idea where he is, and if not, I'll have to dispatch sewer rats in order to find him. But that is as it is. Needless to say, I am disconcerted that this trouble amid the garden, and I trust that both of you will do your absolute best to remedy it.
Of course, my prince.
Of course, my prince.
This neonate, what was her name?
Monique Corbet.
And she was Delano's child. Yes, I believe I've met her once in passing. So, why did she do it, Mr. Beaumont? Or Monsieur Beaumont?
In part, that is what I'm still trying to discover for myself. I knew that she very desperately wanted the painting, but I had warned her in advance not to give up anything that would fundamentally alter her, damage herself, or others. That was an explicit warning I gave her when engaging this auction and bidding parts of yourself away.
And she clearly ignored that bit of advice.
That is what concerns me and confuses me. She knew of the risks. She was warned of the risks.
So what you're saying to me, Mr. Beaumont, or Monsieur Beaumont, is that she did this just to spite her honored sire.
I think she was more obsessed with the painting. But she was willing to throw those memories away in order to get it.
I see.
Of course.
You know, until this matter is decided, Sheriff, I deem this painting to be the property of me and the court. You will collect it for me. Yes?
As you wish.
Ink and canvas is a very pretty little bauble, and it is something I'm led to understand that your clan has a particular fascination and fondness for. However, turning your back on your bloodline, your lineage, is disgraceful. Obviously, from an out-of-character perspective, you know how high the Ventrue hold their lineage is.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
this is kind of a sore point for that whole clan.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like,
Even
I
most
mean,
clans. Like
Flora especially is like, yeah, lineage and all that, yeah, she's thinking in her head, my clan was just an experiment, so fuck off. But
it's like even the Bruja would be like, hey, you're fucking selling us down the river. What the fuck?
yeah.
You will bring that painting to me. But not only that, you will enforce into this girl, if it means that you have to do so with the ramrod and the cat o' nine tails, the value of what it is the blood is worth. And if she does not understand this, she has had that little thing, that thing who disgraced your clan's wonderful gathering, giving into her keeping, yes? I believe I dictated this.
Flora makes a face and she nods. You did.
Very well then. She is not proving to me that she is suitable for this task. After all, if she is so easy to turn her back on her own sire, why is it that she will serve as a decent adoptive sire to this failed attempt at the recreation of the blood? Or sorry, not recreation of this failed attempt of the how do you say it? This failed attempt at the repository of the blood. She has one more chance to redeem herself, or else I will not just give her to the sun. I'll send her myself to Waterford by herself, staked on a train, and we'll see what the Sabbat will do to her. Am I understood?
I understand, my prince.
Good. This is the last thing that I need.
Flora gives a nod.
Without another word, he turns and he walks rather emphatically through the large double doors that lead from the balcony, followed by the two attendants who are with him. He was pissed.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
God.
Well, Flora isn't too happy herself, and after he's out of sight, she turns back to Francis, and her eyes are glittering with anger.
You may want to sit down. We're not even finished.
She nods and she looks for the nearest place to sit. She's not even speaking right now. She's just mad.
It's a cinema, and we're at like the sort of back end of the cinema, so yeah, Francis will just sit next to her and he will say, this actually does damage a lot of what I was trying to do. I'd actually spent sort of my own currency helping other kindred of the night acquire their own items, including that abyssal vial and Mr. Hennessy's mask. Well, he won't say Mr. Hennessy, he'll say Seneschal Hennessy. Hennessy's mask. So, yes, up until that point, we did look very unified, at least in my opinion. But
We have 2 young members of our clan who have stepped out of line in less than 2 weeks' time. This is not acceptable.
no, I did not. And one is mentoring the other. This is
It's definitely not a situation that should be happening.
no. This is volatile in that one will play off the other. I mean, my accountee, she can be blunt at times, but she knows the important lesson of when not to speak. And she's generally handled herself quite well. But
Good night, Herr Beaumont. A pleasure to see you again.
Edric, good to see you again.
My apologies. He will. Frederick is a very beautiful man. He is dressed as is shown here. He has an almost kind of laissez-faire view of his appearance, but he's that kind of disheveled that somehow comes off looking good.
Yeah.
But he will. He does have appearance 6. His appearance spec is captivating.
I should probably roll, because I didn't do that last time. I should have.
Yes, if both of you could please roll, because he does have that level of appearance. It's not that difficult, it's only a difficulty 5 check, but he is very, very pretty.
Willpower, because I really can't afford to be entranced for this interaction.
You're good.
I'm fine.
And Fleur, if you can do the same, please.
What is the roll?
Oh no, you don't have entrancement. Though
No, I don't have the flaw for Toreador now.
Yeah, so you don't need to. But he will walk forward. He has an almost foppish kind of sense of movement, but he will walk forward. He will take Fleur's hand in his, and he will lift it, and he will kiss it he'll kiss her index finger of her left hand very softly above the knuckle on her ring finger.
She'll smile.
Charmed. My apologies, my darling Primogen, but I said that in light of the current situation that so traumatic. To think that the work of one of the great masters would be disgraced in such a manner. It's almost more than I can bear. You'll see a single blood tear run down his left cheek.
This is dramatic fuck. It's great.
Francis will actually will look to Fleur and will say, the painting that's captivated so many was Van Gogh's final work, his unknown final work.
Oh, she nods, which puts Monique's obsession with it in a bit more of a believable perspective. However, she's still highly pissed at her behavior.
Ultimately, it is a shame that such a wonderful work, upon which the man bled his soul, his inner essence, should come to what? A tool that is used to destroy the heart of a good man. There's poetry in that, but it is terrible poetry.
Indeed.
I'm inclined to agree. Just so you are aware, I have been ordered by the prince to render that artistry into the prince's possession.
Why? Prince Thrain is not necessarily an uncultured man, but he's not an art lover.
I believe he wishes to make a point to Veninates who acquired it. He was in conversation with us before you arrived.
Well, one way or the other, my darling Beaumont, the fact of the matter is that it's been tainted down to its bones. Even if I had the option to have the thing, I was willing to bid much higher yesterday, but it has been sullied for me. It is as if a black mark has been placed upon it. I could never own such a thing now, despite its beauty, despite its raw essence. He's so painfully foppish. I love it. Continue.
It's so good. Oh my god.
No, I agree. No artwork is worth those memories. It's not worth the destruction of that man's love and care. Every time I speak of it, I lose the words because I cannot visualize or empathize. I cannot understand. To me, it is just horrifying. It is just fundamentally wrong. You're right, it taints the artwork. And frankly, that is just one more tragedy in Van Gogh's legacy.
And for the record, before dawn, Mr. Delano came to my studio. I think he's still there now, if anyone has any interest. Well, Flora, Primogen, it would be in your interest to speak with him, I think,
And yes, I would like to speak with him.
And I would like to speak with him as well, if only to help him through the process of this betrayal.
He's a little bit raw at the moment. I recommend giving it time, or a few nights at least, and then I'll see if he is willing to be coaxed out of...
Understandable.
That's perfectly acceptable. I just do need to speak with him before I make a final decision on what to do about the situation as a whole.
I'm led to understand that he was willing to make extraordinary offers to our good Seneschal to have Miss Monique removed from the city, but he was rambling ever so slightly. I believe that, well, shall we say, he is not in the best of states, so I said that I'd ask for clarification.
Acting on pure emotion, I'm very sure of, which was another benefit of giving him a few nights to process and think a little bit more rationally about the situation.
Yes, I do not wish for the taint of this betrayal to also taint him. That would be... I do not wish for this to spiral.
I don't either, but Monique's behavior needs to be made an example of. I'm not saying to remove her or end her life or anything like that, but we need to show that we are not willing to tolerate such disrespect.
I'm forced to agree with the good lady Primogen. Ultimately, she's not only the smoke master's name, but she's also caused our clan to look foolish in public. There must be a pound of flesh taken, whatever value it is you deem the pound to be.
It's true. The clan, we must use this to restore the clan's image, or rather the image that she has damaged.
I will also speak with her before a final decision is made, but it is a messy situation. Shakes her head.
Yes. All the worse that, well, at least the Red Lister was not present for it. It would have been even worse. But
I've known Monique Saya for, well, my, over 6 decades since he was helping me smuggle artwork out of Germany. So the fact of the matter is that, well, he is a good and honourable man. What is it what he did to engage her ire as such? He has never been anything but kind. Why is it the kindness is being repaid so? This is so painfully tragic.
again, that's just why I do not understand Monique's actions. Delano had, to my knowledge, only ever cared for her, and she...
Yes,
Not-
I'm not certain why she would choose to give away her memories of him. That
She-
is bizarre.
She chose her painting over her sire.
This is, yes, that is very much a thing.
And now I have to... And it also causes me to wonder, what about the memory she may possess of the rest of us? What about the rest of her loyalty to her clan? To any of us? If she was willing to throw all of it away for a painting that...
Maybe we should reduce her to fledgling status and put her on a path of redemption.
But then what do we do about her accountie?
Yes, quite. I'm led to understand that this is the boy who caused such a stir at Madame Portia's party. A wonderful evening, I'm sure you'll agree. The dance was spectacular.
It was... And Francis actually
Yes.
smiles. It was magnificent.
It was a spectacular dance.
But you're
But
right.
that-
What to do with the boy?
We would have to find a different mentor for him.
I would actually offer, but I currently have my own accountie. One who is progressing quite nicely. I'll probably, if she continues at her current pace, I'll probably release her in the next few months. But I'm getting off topic.
Yes, well, I couldn't possibly. My gallery and my business take up far too much of my time. I've never been good at all of this politicking and talking. I'm always a man who much preferred his art, but I don't really have much to teach in that way. But perhaps you, Primogen, you seem like you might be able to take the boy under your wing.
Yes, I suppose I could.
He might actually be more... how to say? He seems more aligned with your particular style. I met the gentleman just under a week ago. He, like yourself, is very much into modern music. In particular, synthwave and vaporwave. Not that I'm familiar with those concepts, but he does seem very much more within your wheelhouse, artistically speaking, at least.
What on earth is a vaporwave?
I don't know. At some point, I will Google it.
The problem I have with it is he did not seem to take any of my advice or guidance to heart at the gala when I was trying to get him to make less of a fool of himself. So if I am to teach him, we would have to come to an understanding that he has to listen to me or he will suffer grave consequences because I won't tolerate it.
Well, I have informed him that if he fails, he will be destroyed, most likely by myself, given my position, and I wouldn't hesitate to do as such. But the in our conversation, he was still he was very dry, a little bit sarcastic, a little bit too sarcastic. But we did reach an understanding through, well, I basically offered him a boon and I'd overlook his transgressions at the dance. And so he took that boon, and now he is attempting to right himself, and I will overlook his prior transgressions. Of course, he's already paid you a boon, so maybe reinforce the fact that his word is his bond and that carries consequences of its own. And if you must, there are always the more extreme measures.
In all honesty, though, dealing with Monique like she was a child devalues. Well, it devalues the process, doesn't it? She was released. She was taught. If we attempt to basically black that out, to basically blot it from existence by saying, no, she is a fledgling, etc., we've just devalued the fact that Delano did teach her, that she does know better.
That's true, and I don't wish to offend him.
And she's ultimately accountable for her own actions as a released neonate.
She is.
She's been a neonate for some time now.
She'll look to Francis and she'll say, if she were a member of any other clan, what would you do as sheriff?
Well, the powers I wield are in granting and taking away credibility are somewhat narrow, given my role, but if she were my child, well, I would consider her outcast from the clan until she finds a way to redeem herself, but there would be no prerequisite given as such for such redemption. She...
Essentially, you would remove the rose, as it were, and leave her merely the thorns.
Yes. She betrayed her sire and made our clan look divided in front of a very dangerous figure.
Oh, was that odd gentleman who decided to have his own sense of aesthetique?
Yes, that was the Bishop of Waterford.
If we were to take that measure, how do we know that she would not just run to the other side? She would then see herself as betrayed by her clan. She would probably jump ship.
At that point, her life is forfeit, is it not? That question answers itself. Should she, at that point, try and subvert us any further, she would surely have to be destroyed or bound forcibly.
How about an idea? Well, we've been talking about clan unity, about this, about that. Rather than casting her out, and rather than going about this in the way of pride, why don't we go about this in the way of art? After all, what she has done has cast a blemish. She must be set a task that is Herculean in the sense that it will gain redemption, but also it should better serve the clan as a general whole. Why don't we give her a project, a massive project, admittedly, but something that she will struggle and strive to complete? And when it is she does so, then it can be equally said, you have labored long in the manner of Hercules and have earned redemption via the fruits of your own labors. Set her the Sistine Chapel ceiling, as it were.
Francis thinks.
Fleur nods. I do like that idea. It's a bit of a blend of both of our ideas, but wouldn't further offend anyone or cause our clan further disgrace.
Also, the auctioneer is a strange little man, but if she was to make effort for the memories to be retrieved, it mightn't solve. So it mightn't be the solve to all of Delano's angst and woes. But
That was something that I was going to ask about. Like, would there be a way for her to recover what had been lost from him?
This is very much like selling your shares in a business and then having to buy them back at a higher price when you regret the transaction. But as you say, it is possible she could approach the auctioneer with the intention of attempting to retrieve those memories, and the auctioneer, being a very strange little man, I'm sure will have some very creative tasks or services in mind for her, or perhaps he will simply want more memories.
why is it that he values memories?
I do not know, but perhaps it is because there are things he...
I would assume because they are pieces of us, they are the most personal thing that we could give.
Yeah, so.
All beings crave what they do not have.
Indeed.
But after all, we're not savages here.
No.
We're not going to cast the girl to the wolves, because it could equally be said, perhaps, that she made a grievous mistake, or rather, that she spoke before thinking. Lord knows, in my time, I've met many neonates who talk before they think and act before they think.
I believe that's honestly from what I gauged from her reaction immediately after making that offer, that would be the most accurate explanation. She allowed her desire for the painting to run out of control, perhaps giving in to our old clan frailty, as it were, and acted without thinking. And as such, in the process, effectively betraying her sire and shaking all of our faith in her. Still an extremely severe sin of hers, but I do not believe she did it with ill intent. I do not believe she did it to spite Delano in any way. I just believe she did not simply, at the time, recognize what her priority should have been. Merely...
Ultimately, she is, by many standards, a child. She is not even a century old. But I think that honestly, we should seek redemption here rather than seeking vengeance.
I agree.
I actually think this may be a better idea than what I had. You're right.
And for the record, yes, Fleur is actually really young. She's just pretending to be much older than she is, but that's neither here nor there.
She's older than that, but she's not as old as Francis is.
No.
Or anything like that.
Francis is the eldest in this conversation of the three of them.
Who, Frederick?
Yeah.
No, Francis is older than Frederick.
Oh, cool.
Actually, hang on. Francis was embraced when?
1805, so he's actually 215 now.
Yeah, because Francis is about another 15, 20 years, and Francis gets to the cusp of being a young elder.
Yeah.
Frederick's only about... he's only been a vampire for about 180 years.
Okay, well, they're relatively similar age.
You're still old. You're also older than Delano.
Yeah, only a little bit, though. Only by a little bit. I think it's like by a few years. But yeah.
But he'll say, look, ultimately, as I said, let's look for redemption for the girl as opposed to anything else, because there's no sense in wasting the blood. There's no sense in wasting the potential
No.
I've never seen her artwork, but I'm led to understand it's possible.
She's from how she's put it, her main talent has been replicating the artworks of others so as to be indistinguishable from the original. But this actually does bring up the question: if we are to give her her mighty odyssey, as it were, her great quest for redemption, what shall that quest be? Has to be something that benefits the clan, and benefits the clan and, well, effectively repairs our image in front of the Camarilla.
I have an idea. Have you met Father Martin de Brince? He's a Le Sombre Antitribu, I believe they call themselves. Charming fellow.
I have not met the man, no. I've met one of the anti-tribute present within Dublin, but not this one.
Yes, he's very old. He was embraced around the time of the Crusades. The one that he was embraced around the time of the First Crusade, I believe. But charming individual. He lives a very pastoral life out in Hoth. Very, very. As I said, he doesn't like any of the pomp and ceremony like some of the other elders do. But he was asking me to look into the renovation of a church in his domain, to entirely redo it with new frescoes and new stained glass. But a gigantic project, but I simply don't have the time or the inclination.
That could be something good for her to do, I believe.
We have our Sistine Chapel.
It also means that to Prince gets the work done, he's probably willing to give the clan some semblance of boon for the ability. But it also means that we get to show off our grand design, as it were.
We do. She smiles at Frederick. I believe that would be a wonderful benefit to us and a way for her to show that she is committed to redeeming her image and the clan's image in the city.
And best is left to last. Obviously, she's given away memories to this auctioneer fellow. Nasty little chap, but if she gets them back, if they can be bartered back, if she then dedicates this artwork to her nascent sire, it may be enough to bring him, if not around, then it may be enough to open the door, as it were.
And that would set a good example to the fledgling under her care.
Yes, the fledgling can help for all we know. I don't know what he does.
I was going to suggest that as well, that he can help her.
With wave and giga nonsense and the Googles. Yes.
Because taking him away from her would not benefit either of them either. So he should see that he should see firsthand what happens. And he should help shoulder the consequences, because that is what happens when your sire messes up and you are close to them, or vice versa.
You'll see Frederick take out a hip flask because he takes a hit from whatever's in the hip flask. He'll offer it if anyone wants it. Yeah. But he'll put it back in. He'll say,
before they're released, anyway. It's
God knows. I would like to point out from a more pragmatic perspective. Also, if we didn't do this, one of us would have to deal with the little blighter, and fucked if I want to do it.
Yes,
I really don't want to. I wanted to kill him after the gala, so I don't think him being under my care would be the best idea in the world.
Yes, and well, he made a mess of things at our own clan gathering in front of my grandson. I'm not the biggest fan of his, in spite of the boon he's paid me to overlook it.
Yeah, I'm
Well-
I'm not interested. I would do it
I-
if I must, but I don't think I must.
I should think that, ladies and gentlemen, we have a plan. It is functional. Though, you get the distinct impression that Frederick is always at least somewhat drunk. It's really interesting to watch.
He's like Jack Sparrow. Like,
It's like, where's all the rum gone?
If it helps, he does in fact have celerity 6, and I'm pretty sure
yes,
with the rapier he would be funny as fuck. But
that would be amazing. I want to see him in action. Yes.
he has that wonderful advanced celerity power that lets him flick things at you for hilarious amounts of damage that I
I
can't.
love that power. I'm gonna get it when I get celerity 6. That's the power I'm getting because it's so funny.
But he'll say, so, right, well, in that case, I'm going to go. There was a lovely girl named Millicent. I'm going to attempt to find she'll be my muse for the evening, I suppose. Then I'll get another muse tomorrow evening. But then again, their name will be Fred. No, my name is Frederick. Their name will be Percival.
I will see you at your gallery in a few nights.
Yes.
You must sit for me, Francis. He grabs your face, like literally. You have such wonderful, wonderful cheekbones. Were you perhaps Abyssinian?
I'm gonna look up what that word means.
It's an area.
Abyssinian?
Abyssinian.
Is he suggesting I'm a cat?
No, Abyssinia is a country, dear, or it used to be a country. I don't think it is anymore. No, it's not anymore.
I have no idea how to spell it.
Abyssinia.
Oh. Yeah, it dissolved fucking over 30 years ago. Francis will go, not quite. No, I am a, actually, where is he from? Let me check, see if I actually put down where he is from.
If not, you can totally be from Abyssinia. It's modern day Ethiopia. That's fine.
Let's see.
Do you hate me because I is black? What the fuck? Sorry.
No. Contrary to my accent, I'm actually a northerner.
Oh, you're from northern Abyssinia.
Newcastle.
Oh. I mean, there could be a Newcastle in Abyssinia. Who are you to judge? Yes.
He's slowly become less and less coherent as the scene's gone on.
That's kind of the point.
Fantastic. I love it.
He's gotten steadily more blitzed as the scene has gone on.
I'm sure there have been many new castles in Abyssinia, yes. Who knows? Maybe I am from one of them, and this is all just a tragic mind game.
Excellent. I shall draw you in. I shall paint you in leopard skin. It would be fantastic. You shall be the Hercules reborn.
I want to see this. Yes.
I'm certainly not arguing. Francis is going to be Hercules.
And on this very funny note, we're going to end the scene. Thank you, players, for playing. Thank you, watchers, for watching. This has been another scene in Darkness and Dublin where Evan has created another character that he really likes.
And very drunk.